Hello everyone, so for today's video, we are going to discuss the equipment and rules of regulation of table tennis. So, table tennis equipment. Table tennis ball. Table tennis balls must have diameter 40 millimeters and weigh 2.7 grams. Table tennis balls are made out of a unique plastic-like material called celluloid. Air is trapped inside the ball, which allows it to bounce after striking paddle or table. The lightweight ball can be struck with different types of rubbers and wrist action, which result in different spin rates. The faster the spin rate, the more curve you will see from the ball upon striking the receiving player's half of the table. So,
next is paddle. The paddle used in table tennis are used to strike the ball onto your opponent's half of the table. Paddles can come in many different variations that favor the player's specific skills and techniques. Paddles must be made of at least 85% wood but can also include some carbon fiber in its design. On both sides of the paddle, you will notice a rubber surface that comes into contact with the ball. These are called rubbers and include different rubber patterns that impact the amount of friction applied to the ball. Sometimes the rubber surface has raised pieces of rubber known as pips. These pips can vary in length, with longer pips allowing for more spin on the ball, while shorter pips tend to add more speed.
So, next is table. The table in table tennis is the largest and most expensive piece of equipment that you will need to play table tennis. The table looks similar to a small version of tennis court, with lines marking the area of play and a net dividing the two courts. The rectangular table is 9 feet long, 5 feet wide, and stands 30 inches off the ground. So next is net. The net is another part of the table that stretches across the wheel of the table and extends 6 inches over each side with posts on either end. The net is made of stretchy nylon materials and measures 6 inches from the top of the net down to the table. Table tennis posts are usually attached to the table by extendable clip or washer and bolt that can be adjusted. This allows the net to be secure onto the table.
Clothing. While table tennis doesn't necessarily have the extensive uniform you might see in a football or baseball game, there is certain clothing that can help improve your performance. Popular pieces of table tennis clothing include table tennis shirt. The clothing made specifically for table tennis is very similar to clothing worn in other sports. Shirts and shorts tend to be loose and lightweight, which allow for the player to be more comfortable when moving around the table. Additionally, these pieces of clothing are designed with moisture-wicking material to absorb sweat and prevent your clothes from getting wet and heavy. Traditionally, most table tennis shirts are collared and have thin logos and colors in the front and, if applicable, table tennis shorts. When playing table tennis, any comfortable pair of shorts will be adequate to play in. Table tennis shorts should be loose and light so that player can move with ease and around the table. The most important aspect of the shorts is that they are comfortable to the player for the full duration of a match or matches.
Table tennis shirt. The table made specifically for table tennis is very similar to clothing worn in other sports. Shirts and shorts tend to be closed and aligned which allow for the player to be comfortable while moving around the table. Additionally, these pieces of clothing are designed with moisture-wicking materials to absorb sweat and prevent your clothes from.
So how is a double game played in table tennis? So the double game in table tennis can be more exciting than singles. Some players enjoy the team aspect as well as the faster movement involved and the emphasis of ball placement. So although the rules between singles and doubles are essentially the same, there are some subtle differences in terms of tactics and gameplay. That's why a well-trained partnership can often defeat a team of higher-skilled players who have not practiced much together. So playing and winning in doubles competition is also fun and rewarding. After all, there's two of you to share the glory and celebrate. So these are the rules of doubles. So in service, unlike the single game, where the ball can bounce anywhere on the table during service, in doubles, the ball can only bounce on the right half portion of the table for both the server and the receiver. So like the single game, the service still alternates every 2 points between teams, but it also alternates between players on the same team. So once your team has finished your 2 serves, you swap sides with your partner. So the person you were serving to now serves and your partner is the new receiver. So order of play. Double matches have a certain order of play that must be followed. So imagine 2 teams So there is players A and B and players X and Y. So player A serves to player X, who then returns the ball. Then player B must then play the next shot and player Y then shot after. So this pattern goes on A, X, D, and Y. So until the point is decided. If the wrong player makes the return, the team loses the point. So change of serve. At each change of service, the last receiver shall become the server and the partner of the previous server shall become the receiver. For example, a correct pattern will be player A has played with 2 serves for player X. Then player X then plays his 2 serves to player B. So player B will then play his 2 serves to player Y. Then player Y will play his 2 serves to player A. So player A will then restart the sequence all over again, and the sequence will repeat itself until a changeover or the end of the game. So this change of end. So a changeover occurs when one team has scored 5 points. This will also change up order of receiving. For instance, players A and B scored 5 first, while A is serving to X. After changing ends, a player A will serve to player Y for the remainder of the game. So for the double tactics, doubles require quick movement and good understanding. So one of the first things to remember is to move out of your partner's way after you've made your shot. So here are 5 quick tips to remember the time you play doubles. So 1, when serving, remember that your partner, not you, will be making the third stroke. That's why you should always try to use services that will help set up your partner's best attack. Number 2, give hand signal to your partner on the serve you're about to make so that he'll be prepared for the next shot. Number 3, make your serve step to the right side of the table and let your partner move to the center. Watch your partner make his shot and slide to the left of the table while you move back into the center. So the 4th, you should always aim attacks at either the weaker player or the one who just made a shot from the other team. In the second scenario, the receiver may be blocked by his teammate in the process. Number 5, if you're a good player, team up with a weaker player. Your job is to make as many strong attacks as you can so that your partner hopefully will get a weak return that he can handle easily. So that's all for the double play in tennis.
Rules and regulations for table tennis. First, single. First, games are played to 11 points. A game is played to 11 points. A game must be won by 2 points. A match is generally the best during 5 games. The first one who can get the lead will be the winner. Number 2, alternate serves every 2 points. Each side of the table alternates serving 2 points at a time. Exemption, after tied or reduced, service alternates at every point. Can you lose an serve in ping pong? The answer is yes. There is no separate rule for serving on game point. Number 3, the serve can land anywhere in singles. There is no restriction on where the ball lands on your side or your opponent's side of the table. It can bounce 2 or more times on your opponent's side. If so, that's your point. Bounce over the side or overhit the edge. Number 4, a serve that touches the net on the way over is a lip. Can the ball hit the net in ping pong? The answer is yes. During a rally, if it touches the top of the net and then otherwise land as a legitimate hit, but not when serving, if a serve ball hits the net on the way over and otherwise legally bounces and play, it is a hit serve and is done over. There is no limit on how many times this can happen. Number 5, volleys are not allowed. Can you hit the ball before it bounces in ping pong? The answer is no. In regular tennis, you may volley the ball. Volley means hitting the ball before it bounces on your side of the net. But in table tennis, this results in a point for your opponent. Remember, when your opponent hits a ball that sails over your end of the table without touching it, and then hits your paddle, that's still your point. Verse 6. If your hit bounces back over the net by itself, it's your point. If you hit the ball in a rally or on a serve and it bounces back over the net after hitting your opponent's side of the table due to the extreme spin without your opponent touching it, that is your point. Number 7. You may not touch the table with your non-paddle hand. You may touch the ball or the table with your paddle hand after reaching in to return a short serve, for an example, or other parts of your body. Note, if the table moves at all from your touching it during a rally, that is your opponent's point. Number 8. An edged ball bouncing off the horizontal table top surface is considered good. An otherwise legal serve or hit may contact the top edge of the horizontal table top surface and be counted as invalid, even if it bounces sideways. The vertical sides of the table are not part of the legal playing surface. Number 9. Honor system applies to disagreements. If no referee is present during a match and the players disagree on a certain call, the honor system applies and the player should find a way to agree or play the point over. Ping pong carries a traditional of first but fair play. That is why honor system is applied into this kind of situation.